Okay, so she had some time to dry, and we did the planking all the way up to the poop deck, and this is for the starboard side. Of course, this is going to be the side that you're going to be able to see inside the ship. So we did the section K in the manual, so we're ready to move on to section L, but section L has the lighting. So we got the lighting kit for this. Let me put her aside. So when it comes to the next step in section L, you can see we actually need to have the lighting kit ready to go that we're going to put in and we're going to put into the ship. So what I need to do is we need to actually prep the lighting kit. And if you guys are wondering everything that comes in the lighting kit, I did in this playlist, I did a complete unboxing, showed the instructions, and I showed you everything that's involved in the lighting kit. So let me check my notes now. We're moving on to section 12. And section 12 is the lighting kit, and what they want us to do is there are a bunch of LED bulbs that we're going to have in the kit. We got to put the resistors on. Of course, the resistors go on the positive side, and then they have shrink tubing that we're actually going to put on and shrink to protect the wires. And then we have to cut the positive wire into equal sections, and we're actually going to solder them to the leads, and we're going to string it together. We got to do the same thing for the negative wires, but they want us to tape the little junction to keep anything from making contact with it. So we have to make it into strips, but they also want us to paint the LED bulbs yellow. And I've been wondering about that because the yellow paint, I don't have, the yellow paint that I have would just totally black it out. I do have some of the paint, the Tamiya clear yellow that I used in the HMS Victory to bring down the brightness of the LED bulbs. But I don't know if I want to do that or if I want to use my own LED lights, because I'm going to tell you I have a couple of ideas that I want to do. There's the strong yellow. These are bright. These might be a little too bright. I also have the soft yellow. But what I want to do with this is I want to stagger between the yellow lights, because remember, she's the Flying Dutchman, so she's a spooky ghost ship and she's mysterious. So my plan is to stagger every other one between the warm light LEDs. I want to put the flickering yellow LEDs. I think that'll have a really, really cool effect. So that being said, let's take the contents out of the lighting kit. So when it comes to the lighting kit, we have the shrink tubing, we have the wiring, we got the resistors, the bulbs, we do have the power pack, and we have the instructions. And you can see it comes also with a catalog, but the instructions show you how to make the line. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 bulbs. So we're going to make a strip of 7 and another strip of 7. So, because there's going to be 2 separate strips that we put in the top layer and on the bottom deck. So let's put this up for now, because these are the instructions that we're going to use as a guideline along with my notes. And again, I dedicated a whole video just on the lighting kit. So let's empty out the contents. We got the resistors, and we have the LEDs. You can see the LEDs are bright. These would be the bright LEDs. They're white and they look like 3mm. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using the bright white, I'm going to use the warm yellow LEDs, and every other one we're going to stagger them with the flickering LEDs to give it that kind of like a lantern inside the ship kind of effect. So we got to do 7 and 7, because if you look on the main instructions, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 2 LED light strips of 7 bulbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There should be 14 in there, but we're gonna do it this way. So let's get the LEDs ready. So we're gonna do 1 first. Let me see, where are my tweezers? So we're going to need 7. So we use yellow, flicker, yellow, flicker, yellow, flicker, yellow. So we have 1, 2, 3. We're going to need 4 of the warm LED yellow bulbs. And one of the main reasons I want to stagger the LEDs, the warm lights, is because if I was to do it with just all flickering LEDs, I don't want it to look like it's on fire. I want it to look like there's a glow, but you can see the flickering of the lanterns inside the ship. So we're going to need 3 of these. So we'll put all this aside. And again, if you're doing this, you would use the LEDs that came with the lighting kit, and then they would have you actually paint these yellow. So again, we're not going to do that. So when it comes to putting on the resistors are going to go on the long lead, which is the positive lead. So what I want to do is I'm going to bend it just so we know which one we're going to be putting the resistors on. So we're going to take 4 of the resistors. And we are going to solder them. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to actually connect them. Like this. Just like that, and I'm going to do this for all 4. There we are. So now I got to get the solder gun. I got my little paintbrush for the flux. And we're going to plug this in now. So what we need to do, let me get this stuff out of the way. Is the solder won't stick unless we put flux on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of flux. And we're going to put the flux right on the area that's going to be soldered. Now we're going to put the solder on. So you can see we soldered it in place, so the connection is going to be nice and secure. So I'm going to do that now for all 4 bulbs. Here we are. Okay, so those are all set right now. And then they're going to have us put these into like a series. So it doesn't really say how far apart we got to cut the wires. All right, this would be for step, let's see, 7 and 9. Apply heat without, okay, so cut lengths of heat shrink tubing as you need. The tube is used to insulate the cover soldering joint. Okay, so we're going to cut the tubing, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the sleeves on just to protect. So we're going to need, let's see, we'll go with this. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces. All right, so we've got the pieces cut, and what we're going to do is we're going to slide the shrink tubing over all the way down to the base of the LED. Here we are. That way there you can see that it'll be protected from touching and shorting out. So I'm going to do this for all 4 of the bulbs. Okay, so now it comes time to shrink the tubing. Now what you can do is you can use a lighter. I do have a heat gun. I don't know if that's going to be too hot for the bulb. Let me see. Because remember, I don't want to damage the bulb. We're going to heat it just enough. So I'm going to do this again for all 4. Here we are. Let's put the heat gun aside so it doesn't damage anything. Okay, again, what I want to do now is I don't want to go through all this and then wire it only to find a bulb doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is we're going to actually put batteries into the battery pack, and we're going to test them before we put them on. Nice. Okay, so they all work. Put the battery pack aside. Okay, so we're going to have 4. And we got to stagger them. So let's see. Now we need to cut the little wires. We got to cut the negative and the positive leads, and let's see how those are supposed to be. Let's see, we'll go to 8. Let's see. It just says cut the lengths of the red wire to the length and strip the ends so you can solder them. It doesn't say how long. Okay, so we got the leads cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the first ones together. So I'm going to put flux on the wire. And we're going to start soldering. Use the flux. And with the next one, we actually have to put 2 of them. Okay, so I've got the lead soldered on. And remember, we're going to stagger them. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go to a flickering LED. So let's get the lengths just about the same. So we're going to go over and we're going to put some flux on the wire. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on. Let me put some flux on here. And we're going to go to the next LED bulb. And lastly, we come to the last LED bulb that we're going to use. So that'll be the end of the line. So let's put some flux on here. There. Now that we got them all soldered, what they want us to do is now we got to tape them. All right, so this tape is old. I shouldn't have used that tape, but it's all gummy, but hopefully you guys can see now. We've got the ends taped up, and what we got to do now is we actually have to do the positive side. Okay, so I think I made them a little too long because there's not going to be a whole lot of room in there. So I think the second batch I'm going to make a little bit shorter, and I want to use the electrical tape instead of this old duct tape because it's kind of gooey and yucky. But what we're going to do now is we have to test it. We're going to throw the switch and hopefully everything works. So as you can see, it looks pretty cool. So what I want to do is I want to put the solder gun aside so there are no accidents. We have the warm LED, and then every other one we have the flickering LED. See how cool that's looking? I hope it shows up on the camera. So this is exactly the effect that I had wanted. Let me try to get them all in the shot for you. Very Halloweenish. So that's going to look really cool. Love it. This is perfect. This is the effect that I absolutely wanted. Okay, so now let's disconnect the power supply. And what we got to do now is we have to do 7 more. We have to do 2 strips. All right, so we got the wires stripped. That's ready to go. Now we're going to have 4 of the warm LEDs. And again, we're going to put the resistors on the positive sides. So I'm going to bend the positive out just so I don't get confused. There we are. And now we're going to solder the leads. Just a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit shorter. Because I'm going to end up cutting the leads. Because I want to make it a little neater, and the second time around it'll be a little bit more refined. So I just had this idea doing the first one. So we're going to string the positives together, creating the pigtail that's going to come out, and that is going to be where the leads are going to be soldered to the LEDs. Hopefully this can streamline the process a little bit better. All right, now we're going to do the same thing. We've got the lead, and that's going to be for the wires for the lead and the testing. So let's put so we got the negative and the positive strings. So we're going to take a little bit of the flux and put just a bit. The first light is going to be the warm yellow. So put a little bit of the flux on either one. And we're going to go all down the line. And I'll show you what they look like when all the bulbs are soldered. There. So what I did was I soldered all the LEDs into place, and what I did was I put the little tape, but I put the electrical tape on. I think it looks a little bit neater. So let's go ahead and we're going to try these for the first time. And when we throw the switch, there, look at that. We put out the light. Again, so I hope you can see the way the warm LEDs glow, and then you have that flickering effect. I think that's going to look really cool. So why don't I go ahead and I'm going to try to hook them both sets up together. And it's dark, so give me a sec. There we are. So these are the lights that are going to be in the ship. So I'm going to take you guys down off of the tripod, taking a look at the glow. Like I said, hopefully you guys will be able to see it on camera, where we have the LEDs that are warm, and then we have the flickering LEDs. And I think that's going to make a nice effect. If I would have done them all with the flickering, I think it would have looked kind of like the ship was on fire. So I think this is going to look really cool. And again, they had wanted us to take the bright white ones and then paint them yellow. I decided to go with the yellow warm LEDs instead, and I like the flickering LEDs. I think that's going to make a nice effect. So my friends, that was my modification of the lighting kit. I know it's a little bit different than the instructions, but I decided to change the bulbs. And if I was doing it by the instructions, I would have used all of the bright white LEDs. I would have put the resistors on, and then I would have painted them yellow after everything was done. But I think I like the warm LED lights that are yellow better with the flickering effect. So my friends, my next video on the Dutchman, we're going to put these into the ship. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put the LEDs into a wooden strip. So they're going to be going through the bottom, or the top rather. We have to drill, pass the lights through, and then we're going to secure the wires on the bottom. So my friends, until my next video on the Dutchman, thank you so much for your kind words, and I'll talk to you guys soon.